Hey guys, we're gonna do something a little bit crazy, a little bit different today. We're gonna make edible candles. You heard me right, we're making candles that you can actually eat. Why would you wanna eat a candle? Well, the same reason that you wanna eat butter. It just tastes good. I first learned about these when I was at a ThermoWorks event in Utah. We were at this beautiful table, outdoor setting, and there were these candles lit in the middle of the table. And my buddy David from the barbecue lab went ahead and dipped his spoon in it and spread it on his bread. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? That's gross. He took a bite, and then I read the menu and realized that it was a beef tallow candle. Now, I've heard of butter candles. Those were like a viral trend a couple years ago, but I had not heard of beef tallow candles. I have a ton of beef tallow. Because I have so many brisket trimmings from competitions, my freezer is full of brisket fat, and when I feel like it, I cook down that brisket fat and I make tallow. So today, I'm gonna show you how to make 3 types of edible candles. We're gonna do a beef tallow candle, a butter candle, and a coconut oil candle, which is a little bit sweet. So let's get started. The first thing that you're gonna do is make that beef tallow. So you're gonna take those brisket trimmings and you're gonna put them in a large pot, put them on the heat over about medium low, and just let it simmer. It is going to take several hours. Trust me on this, like could take 4 to 5 hours, depending on the level of heat that you have. Once it's all the way simmered down and most of that fat is rendered off, you are going to end up with liquid gold that looks like this. You're gonna wanna strain it and just save the liquid. You don't need to save all the excess fat pieces. Then what I recommend when you make these candles is that you leave it at room temperature, because as soon as you put it in the refrigerator, it turns cold, which is how we're gonna make our candles later. But to start, we're gonna keep it at room temperature. Today we're gonna make an herb candle with the beef tallow. I'm trying to simulate that candle flavor that we had when I was up in Utah. One of the things I loved about it is that it was bright green. So today I've got some parsley, some oregano, some thyme, some rosemary, a bit of garlic, and we're also gonna add a bit of salt because there's no salt in this beef tallow. For the butter candle, you can basically do any type of compound butter. If you go to my website, you will find the recipe for my ancho garlic compound butter, which includes an ancho chili, garlic, thyme, and some salt, and of course butter. But look for any compound butter recipe and you can turn that into a candle. I recommend going to girlcarnivore.com. She has a ton of amazing different compound butters that you guys can test out. Now, when it comes to the ancho chili, this was a dried chili and I put it in boiling water and just let it steep. So now it's nice and soft. So we're gonna be able to blend that up with the butter really easily. Now, when it comes to the coconut oil candle, that one's gonna be a little bit sweet. If you think of like going to Texas Roadhouse where you get that honey cinnamon butter, that's kind of the concept that we're going for here. Coconut oil by nature is sweet, so we don't even have to add any sugar. And when you see coconut oil in the store, it's going to be in a liquid form at room temperature. It's pretty much liquefied, but as soon as we put it in the fridge or freezer, it's gonna harden to help us make our candle. All I'm gonna add to this one is cinnamon. Now let's go over the equipment that we're gonna need to make these candles. I'm just using my Ninja here. You can use a NutriBlast, whatever you have. This is gonna help us make the herbs nice and fine and mix it with the beef tallow. Same with that chili for the compound butter. Now here's the important part to turn all of this into a candle. You're gonna need some kind of mold to pour the liquid into so that you can freeze it. I just use these little paper cups and you can fill them as much as you want. If you wanna just make a little votive candle, which is what we'll do for the coconut oil, you only have to do like an inch or so. If you wanna do like a bigger candle, you want it to last a long time, then go ahead and fill it closer to the top. To make the candle, you are going to need a wick, and you want an edible wick because we're gonna eat this after all. You're not eating the wick, but you're eating the insides, so you don't want something toxic for your wick. I got these on Amazon. I will leave a link in the description, but it's got a little weight on the bottom. That's gonna just help the wick stay down so it doesn't float up when you add the liquid. And then it has the wick, which is edible. This will just go right inside the cup, and it comes with this little stick with a hole in it. The purpose of that is when we add our liquid, it helps keep the wick in the center. So we'll add the wick, add our liquid, and then put this on top to hold it and put it in the fridge. Are you guys ready to make these candles? Let's get started with the beef tallow candle. So I'm just gonna take all of these herbs and put them right here in the blender. I'm also gonna do a heavy pinch of salt. I don't know, I probably have like a half a teaspoon or so. And now I am just going to pour in this room temperature tallow. I'm gonna start with about a cup because I wanna see how bright and vibrant green we can get this. Put the lid on, and we're gonna go blitz it on our Ninja. That's nice, but I think I want it even more green, so I'm gonna grab some parsley. All right, let's see if this will make a difference. I am loving the color of this. It's really similar to the one that I had in Utah. Let's give it a taste just to make sure that it doesn't need more salt. No, that is perfect. I have my paper cup. I'm gonna add the wick. It's okay if it's not in the center right now. It's gonna get straightened out. Pour in as much as you want, depending on how tall you want your candle. Then add this brace right over the wick and center it up. Now it's ready to go into the refrigerator or the freezer to harden. I've got enough to do a second candle, so I'm just gonna use the rest of it in this second cup. Same process. There we go. Now, if you don't make your own beef tallow at home, that's totally fine. You can buy pre-made beef tallow, do the same thing all with that. It doesn't have to be homemade. Let's move on to the butter candle. So clean this out. I'm going to add the thyme. I've got 3 cloves of garlic. This time I am going to add the ancho chili pepper. I did remove the stem, so we're gonna stick that in there. Another pinch of salt. And now I've got a half a stick of butter that I have melted. We're gonna pour that right inside and go give it a blitz. I love how bright red this is because it makes it look more like a candle instead of just being yellow like butter. Let's give it a taste. Ooh, it's got some heat, but some complexities. I love the garlic and the thyme in there. This one's perfect. Let's make the candle. Exact same technique. I've got my wick. I'm gonna set it in here. We're gonna pour this bright red butter in here, and then we're gonna use this to center up our wick. There we go. Now we can put it in the fridge or freezer. Now this last one is the absolute easiest. We're gonna do the coconut oil sweet candle. I'm gonna pour a half a cup in here and just a little bit of cinnamon. That's probably like a 1/4 teaspoon. We don't need the blender for this one, but you do want to give it a good stir. You want it nice and smooth, no cinnamon clumps. Let's give this one a taste. It's like a tropical twist on cinnamon honey butter. I love this. We're gonna make tea votives out of this one, which means we're only gonna do little short stacks. Let's go ahead and fill these up. I like to put about half of my mixture or a 1/4 cup into each glass. That looks good. All right, and then same technique. Put on your balancer, center them up, and take them to the fridge. All of our candles are completely hard now, so we can remove these wooden balancers. You're gonna wanna save these because you can use them again. Now we need to remove the paper cup. I find the easiest way to do that is with a pair of scissors. I just cut a little slit into it and then start peeling it off. Almost. There we go. Now I want to set this in a dish because when we light it, it's going to melt and you don't want it to melt all over the place. Now this is the butter one with that chili and garlic and thyme. You're going to use your scissors to remove the paper, and I've already got a dish for this one as well. The bigger the candle, the bigger dish that you should use. And you can see this one actually has some of the chili in there, so it gives it a little bit of texture and variety. I love that. Okay, and then the last one we have here is our coconut oil one. We just made a little one for this, so we're using a littler dish. This one pops out super easy. Now, obviously these wicks are way too long, so I'm gonna use my scissors and just cut them so they're about a 1/4 inch. Now you can either serve these right away or you can store them. If you're gonna store them in the refrigerator or the freezer. I recommend not going beyond 1 to 2 weeks because we did use fresh herbs here. You just want them to still be fresh and bright. So 1 to 2 weeks is usually the trick. If you're doing the coconut oil one, you can save this one in the freezer for a good 6 months because all it has in it is some dried spices. When you're ready to serve these, go ahead and light them up. As they melt, that's when you can spoon right into them and serve them with some bread. Okay, let's dig into these candles. Check this out. Starting with the ancho here. This is the melted butter with ancho chilies, some thyme, garlic, and a little salt. That is so incredibly delicious and just unique because it's in a candle form. I'm gonna go into this beef tallow. I love the color that we got from the fresh herbs and from the chilies. Wow, those herbs are so bright and fresh. Now let's go into our sweet coconut candle. I've got some Hawaiian sweet rolls here. Wow, I really love that one. Like I said, it's kind of a tropical twist on cinnamon honey butter. That's it, guys. That's how you make edible candles out of beef tallow, butter, and coconut oil so you can really wow your guests at your next party. You can get the full recipe in the description and be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an amazing video like this. Thanks, guys.